Okay, so today I came across a video considering that I am going for a FUE hair transplant consultation tomorrow morning. I came across this video just today while browsing. It's a reaction video. So I'm going to do a reaction video to a reaction video. It's a reaction video from about, I think it was 4 years ago. Dr. Gary Linkov, he's reacting to Joe Rogans' what Joe claimed to be the worst decision he's ever made in his life, to get hair transplants. Now, a little bit of background context to this. Joe was in his mid-late 20s in 1993, which was the same year that I was 19 years old and had the first of my eventual 3 transplants that I wrapped up when I was 20. Joe got them, I believe, when he was 27 or 28 in his acting career, and he was starting to see thinning. And Joe had 3 as well in the same year, I believe, or just over a few years back then in the early mid-90s. So his started in 1993 like mine did. And you can see from the picture at the start of the video the results of what happens when you get that type of hair transplant technology back in those days, which is called FUT, follicle unit transportation. That's what it was called back then. There were pretty much, I don't know if there were many other, in fact, no, there were no other options. That was the only method of hair transplanting back in those days when it was available. Context is, as I said, Joe went bald when he was balding in his mid-late 20s, and he was an actor, and he was worried about losing his hair back then and how he'd be perceived after he lost his hair as an actor in those roles he was doing. For me, it was a different story. I started going bald in my mid-late teens, not even mid-late teens, which culminated in 3 hair transplants in 1993, when I had turned just before, or just when I was 19, and then I'd turned 20. So the difference is a little bit different in both situations, but I guess I had more worry and more concern because I hadn't even made it in the world at that age. I was just out of school, first year university. People are impressionable. You don't have any status then to fall back on, apart from things like family wealth and how well known your family is, or basically what you look like. So I had a lot more worries and concerns that forced me into doing these hair transplants that I did. And without any further ado, I'm going to roll the reaction video to this reaction video.
Holidays booked. Next, your holiday wardrobe.
Just wait for this ad to finish.
Your bank account
We'll skip it.
still recovering.
I had a hair transplant. That was the dumbest thing I've ever done.
Oh, okay, so here we go. We're getting into it now. So let's see.
Yeah, we are. Would I say it's the dumbest thing I ever done? Looking back at the time, no, but looking back on it now, yes. And the reasons are probably similar to Joe's reasons, actually very similar to the reasons that Joe states later in this video. Back then, obviously, you're young, impressionable, you want to look good for the ladies, you're in your late teens, you're going into the prime of your life, you don't want to be a bald man going into the prime of your life. That's just reality. Women, ladies can, make choices based on the most superficial things, generally to do with, the way you look and your genetics, especially at that age, and pretty much throughout your entire life. And you don't want to be, going around as a completely bald 19 or 20-year-old when, you're trying to make an impression on the ladies, and we all know what attracts the ladies. And it's not your personality, because your personality is the way you look. And people believe that they want you to have a personality based on the way you look. So let's continue.
Why he thinks it was the dumbest thing he's ever done. Hey guys, Dr. Gary here. Today I'm going to do a reaction to Joe Rogan's thoughts on hair transplants. So Joe Rogan is a pretty popular dude online and just in general. He was on Fear Factor, he's a UFC commentator, and has a really impressive podcast. I recently came across
it helps when you got status. You can look like Joe, and if you have that type of status and clout in the world, you're probably not going to be too concerned about, you're still going to be concerned about how you look, but it's not going to be a determining factor on whether you have success or not in the dating sphere.
This article, it's called "I Had a Hair Transplant." Joe Rogan talks about the scar on the back of his head. So there are a few videos.
Oh yeah, the scar on the back of your head. Oh yeah, I've got 3 of them. 2 smaller ones and 1 larger one. That's what happens when you do follicle unit transplantation, hair transplanting. And as I said, back in those days, in the early 90s, when I had mine done and when Joe had his done in the same year, that was the only method used, where they tear that strip off the back of your head, take a few thousand grafts, implant it into the area, the grafting area, and that donor area that they take it out of is stitched up and it's scarred, and you basically can't shave your head short without it being seen anymore. Yeah, that's basically the results of FUT hair transplanting.
Videos that are brought up in this article, so let's take a look at them and I'll give you guys my reaction to these videos.
Just ignore those messages coming through from my mate there.
Look at the little knives in the end. Ugh. It's like a cat's dick. So he's just scooping it out of there.
Is this a woman or a man?
I don't know. It's someone who's not that fat.
Oh.
If whoever this is, if they just got on a carb-free diet
For like a couple weeks.
So I think he's referring to like liposuction here. As you guys know, I'm a facial plastics guy and a hair transplant surgeon.
Yeah, liposuction is another big industry in the plastics arena, in the looks maxing arena. Apparently it can kill you, but I know a few people that have done it without any problems. They actually looked a lot better after they had it done. We're not going to go much into that today.
I don't do much body work at all. The only thing I'll do is if we have to put hair somewhere on the body or take hair from the body, I'll venture out.
Well, I don't have that problem at all. I'm a hairy beast.
Or if I need fat for facial fat transfer, then I'll go into the belly and take some fat out, but I don't do it for actually like sculpting the abs or making someone look skinny or anything like that.
It's not even, that
This
looks
is-
like not that long of weight to lose.
I know a lady who didn't need it and got it done. She
And what happened?
literally didn't need it. I don't know. I don't.
So when he says, he knows someone.
Yep, women, it's very acceptable for women to go and do these plastic surgeries, but, when a man does it, you better not step out of your lane, mate. Just accept what God has given you and just live with it. And if you don't like it, tough luck. People, this is what I keep saying. People are all for self-improvement as long as it doesn't rattle their cage or rock their boat. That the fact that your self-improvement has changed you to a point where they perceive you totally differently and they can't comprehend or can't accept the fact that you've changed. Yes, a lot of the times you'll do this type of self-improvement, it will, and you don't tell anyone, people you know already will notice you, and if you go to a stage where people start treating you differently in this life, they will feel threatened. They will hold it against you and they will not like it because it rattles their own cage and it changes all their beliefs and perception that they held about you. And people don't like to be wronged. People don't like to be shown that they were wrong and they've thought about you the wrong way. It's a very egotistical human trait, but that's the truth. However, if you do go and change yourself and look different, new people that you've never met in your life and who don't know your life story in the past will accept you and treat you differently if you look better. And that's just how it goes. At least you'll have, a whole lot of new people who'd appreciate you for who you are, the new you, because they didn't know who you were in the past, and they will see you and think of you differently from the word go.
One who didn't need plastic surgery and got it done. I mean, that's pretty much most people, who get plastic surgery don't necessarily need it. They want it, so very subjective.
That's true. People are very vain and people know what really matters in this world. It's basically looks and looks.
When he says that he didn't think think she needed it. That's his opinion. It's all about what the person who gets the surgery wants and has in mind for their self-betterment and improvement and, just feeling more confident about themselves. I don't think it's his place.
That's very true. This doctor is a very knowledgeable bloke, I will say.
To judge that, but then again, all of us are passing judgment on each other all the time, so, I guess it's Joe.
Bingo. Everyone's passing judgment on each other all the time. And being a plastic surgeon, he probably know that, and he knows, what people judge you on.
Rogan's right, but either way, people get plastic surgery because they feel that it's something that would make them just feel better about themselves, some feature that they just don't like, and they see no other way to improve that situation. So that's pretty common for someone not to need something, especially in the cosmetic surgery realm, but nonetheless, they want it.
I don't know her that well, but I remember her friends saying how much extreme discomfort she was in because she had to wear essentially like these tights.
Yeah,
It's
surgery.
like super tight compression.
Oh yeah, after you get the hair transplant, you're in extreme discomfort for 1 or 2 weeks. The donor area is bandaged up. You can't sleep properly at night. The area throbs where it was cut out from, but this is the old technology that I underwent and Joe underwent. The area that's cut out from is stitched up. The stitches basically keep you awake. Most of the night you're in pain, it's stinging, and sometimes it throbs. The actual graft area is not as bad, but it does form those scabs that have to fall off. You do get bandaged. In fact, after the second of my third one, the second of my hair transplants out of 3, you get this swelling that starts on the forehead and it moves down the face. And what happens is the swelling moves down your forehead, around your eyes, down to your cheeks, down to your chin, and eventually your lymphatic system passes it out over time. But with my second one, when the swelling moved down to my eyes, the eyes turned black. So it looked like I'd been punched in both my eyes. I had black eyes, and basically I couldn't go out for, almost the better part of a week until that bruising and that black eye turned yellow and then basically coloured back to normal. It can keep you indoors if you get something like that. Another friend of mine messaging me. It can keep you indoors if you have something like that on your face, and it's all part of the recovery that I experienced from those hair transplants I had back in 1993. Was it meant to swell around the eyes and go black? I don't know. That was the only one it happened for, so probably not, but I guess it's a possibility.
Pants everywhere to keep all your ass fat together.
Yeah, usually my understanding, because again, I don't do body lipo and other kind of body plastic surgery procedures, but generally the compression kind of dressings and on the face, we sometimes do that after a facelift or after submental liposuction. It's to kind of keep the swelling down and also to promote lymphatic drainage.
There you go. Keep swelling down and promote lymphatic drainage. That's basically what happens after a hair transplant.
That's the way that the swelling basically resolves after a surgery. The edema, the stuff that gathers up, has to go through the lymphatic channels in order to drain out and for all that swelling to go away. So the compression helps promote that type of activity.
It's so intense. It's so intense.
Like when I was having my ass fat loosened.
I had a hair transplant. That was the dumbest thing I've ever done.
Oh, okay. So here we go. We're getting into it now. So let's see why.
As I said, looking back on it now, it was dumb. Now at my age, in my early 50s, when I was 19, was it the dumbest thing I ever did, going bald, being the only guy I knew going bald at that time? Absolutely not. It was the smartest thing to do, but I paid for it. I paid for it later. Well, my parents paid for it at the time, because literally with money, because I couldn't afford it. I was just a first-year student without a job. But, eventually a few years down the line, when it turned out to be the way it was, when I used to grow it long to hide the scars, it looked like a bad comb over just at the front with a big bald patch around the rest of the head. They wouldn't do the whole thing because I was too young, too risky. Back then I was excited, but the treatment I got after was incredibly bad because it looked horrid. And I was told, just get rid of it. In that exact tone, just get rid of it. It looks terrible. I was told this by other people I know. I got rid of it, and the scar's exposed, and I don't know what looks worse, the exposed scars or the non-exposed scars with that terrible comb over. I mean, I could just shave the hair transplanted part of it, but as I mentioned in the previous video, what happens is when you shave with the hair transplant, the natural hairline, what it does is it moves upward by about maybe half a mil, 1 mil at most, and you can see it. So it has to be shaved pretty short. You can tell that there's been grafting in there because you can see in the scalp there's like pitting around the scalp area still, even after the scabs come off. They're there, it's there forever. Yeah, but I still, if I shaved that and left the rest of it to cover my scars at a length that covers my scars, I just look like one of these horseshoe-haired men. Terrible look, especially now that I'm even going grey.
Why he thinks it was the dumbest thing he's ever done.
David Feldman, that's what he did.
I have this giant scar on the back of my head. It looks like a smile.
Great that he's open and
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've got two small ones and a big one that looks like a smile. Oh yeah. It looks terrible. You're right, Joe.
about it. The way that hair transplants were done for many, many years, and the way that they're still sometimes done today, is with the FUT or strip method, and that's what leaves this kind of linear skull.
That's what I had done. That's what Joe had done. We had ours done in the same year. That's a big one on that example. Mine is about half of that on one side and two smaller ones on the other side. The two smaller ones, you can actually see stitching marks. It's that terrible.
Scar in the back of your head, and the shape of it tends to be kind of like what he's saying, like sort of a half circle or like a smiley face, because it's following the safe donor supply on the back of the head. The problem with it is exactly this. He's regretting it now years later because it probably didn't do enough for giving him hair on top of it.
Oh, you betcha. Not enough hair on top of it. That is a big problem. Transplanting generally in those days used to go for coverage rather than density. That's why when you have them done, even after about 5 or 6, it will still look like there's still patches of white there. There's still patches of scalp you can see through it, because density is important when you get a hair transplant. You need to show that you're not bald. And the problem with the total coverage, it wouldn't have been dense enough because there's not enough donor area in some blokes and some men to cover it densely. They don't tell you this when you go for a consultation. Now that I'm going for a consultation, I know all about this, so I'm going up front and I'm going to be very forward and tell them what I want. But back in those days, when I was young, my father was a little bit wet behind the ears as well with this. Yeah, no idea. Absolutely no idea what the results were going to be. They didn't even tell you about the post-operative scarring. They just showed you what they were going to do. They drew out he drew out three diagrams for me in my head. He said the first one we do, which is what he'd recommend, is just a partial first-third coverage and wear a hairpiece over the rest of the head. The second one, he said we can do the whole scalp, but he was too scared to do it. He says it's very risky at your age. Don't know how far your hairline's going to drop, where it's going to go. And the third one he offered was, there was something else. Oh yeah, he said the third option is just do nothing. That's right, just leave it. So yeah, I mean, options were thin, hair was thin, it looked like a bad comb over. Density and thickness is really what matters, as more than coverage, because coverage, even if you have coverage without the density and thickness, it'll look like a bad comb over or thinning.
His head, and yet it left him with this long scar. Modern techniques are a bit better when it comes to the donor area and the scarring that it leaves. FUE, as you guys probably saw in one of my other videos, it's the one-by-one removal. So you get these little tiny...
Yeah, it's the one punch method. They take out one, they replicate a few thousand or a few hundred with each strand they take out. Whereas back in the day, they had to cut out a strip and replicate less, and the coverage was less. But these days, they do a one punch. They go in, they take out one. I understand how FUE works. They take out one, they replicate many, and hopefully when they put it on your head, it takes, and then they may give you medication. That's another thing that was never told to me, taking medication. Like I took, when I was 16 and saw my first sign of male pattern baldness, I was put on vitamin B, on yeast, on Rogaine / minoxidil, which none of that stuff helped. And And then I went back to the dermatologist. He said, look, if none of that stuff's helping, there was no dutasteride, finasteride back in those days. It didn't exist. Didn't exist like the FUE treatment didn't exist. So basically I was told minoxidil, tablets, vitamins, levels, iron levels, etc., etc. If those don't help you, the only choice you've got to keep your hair is the transplant. So when you get the transplant, they don't basically tell you to take medication because there was none for it back then. Plus the surgeon knew I'd already used minoxidil and it didn't help stabilise my balding or restore any lost hair. So basically, yeah, that's what happened to me. These days you'll go in, they'll give you a plan with medication as well to keep the transplanted hair. Although having said that, a lot of the transplanted hair coming from the donor area is not DHT affected. So if it's not DHT affected, it should keep, but you will still lose. I mean, I've still lost a bit from what I originally had done over the 3 transplants. Most of it's still there, but some of it has shedded over the years. Let's go.
Tiny dot scars, and if it's a well-performed FUE, usually even with a shaved head, it's a little hard to tell that anything was done, and you can even get scalp micropigmentation into all those dots, which helps. It's harder to cover.
Yeah, SMP or hair tattooing. You can get that done. It's probably be very painful to go on hard bone on your scalp. That's one. And the other thing is you'd probably need to go back every year or 2 and get it recolored and redone. So, yeah.
Cover up a long scar, especially if it's a widened type of scar.
So you got a piece of meat.
You get like a scar from it.
Yeah, my joke was that it's like taking people from a town where everybody's healthy and moving them into a town where everybody's dying. The only ones that were left.
That's a good one. Yeah, it's like the what about that message? It's like the a town moving where everyone's happily hooking up with each other to a town full of inkwells.
So like the new recruits, like the hair that was supposed to be up there, like it was already falling out. Yeah.
So where do you get it from? Like other
They
parts?
take it from the back.
Yep. That's what happens if you don't go on medication or it doesn't work. The medication doesn't work for you. Some of that hair will fall out. You won't keep all of it.
Your head. They take a strip off the back of the head. Now the way they do it, in a lot of places they do it differently. They do one individual follicle at a time.
That's the FUE. That's what he's referring to in that comment.
I just was scared that I was going bald. I was like, what can you do? And they tell you they can fix it.
Mate, you're very lucky. You went bald in your mid-late 20s. I went bald in my mid-late teens. I wouldn't be complaining, Joe.
Like, oh, great. I'll just get it fixed. But it doesn't really fix it.
Yeah, like I always tell people, and one of my recent Instagram comments and quotes was that plastic surgery is about making things better. It's not about making it perfect or fixing the problem. It's really about just going for some degree of improvement. It would be nice if more places were honest and told patients that you're not going to get all of a sudden all of your hair back. And
oh yeah, that's the big one. Be honest. They're not being honest that you won't get all your hair back. They're not being honest that it won't keep forever. They're not being honest that you'll get enough coverage. Basically, they want your money. A lot of these places want your money. If you go in there and you don't know what you're doing, like when I was wet behind the ears as a late teen, they will, my father was as well, they will happily say, come in, it's the best time of the year for these things, come and do it. We'll take your money. But they won't give you all they won't tell you all the possible results. And the other thing what they will do is they'll put up the best results they've had of their best clientele, like their best results, and they'll say, see, this is what we can achieve with you. But 9 times out of 10, that won't happen. You'll get the result that's the mediocre result. You won't get that one that they use as the example. You may if you're lucky, but more often than not, you won't.
He maybe was promised that and kind of went for it and now regrets it. So it would have been better to talk to him about medical therapy, things to improve his situation, maybe without.
Yeah, that was done with me, medical therapy. Back then, as I said, it was only really Rogaine or minoxidil as it was back then, and your vitamin and mineral levels, and that was about it. There was no finasteride, there was no dutasteride, whatever they have these days. I think it was Propecia back. It wasn't even out. There was something called, initially it was called Propecia, but it only came out about 3 or 4 years after I had my transplants, and I was completely bald at that stage. Wouldn't have helped.
without surgery, and then if surgery became an option, to discuss, what would it do for him? How much improvement would he get? Of course, it's not going to bring all your hair back, especially if you're advanced in your thinning, and also kind of how...
So that's what I'm worried about, because I'm totally advanced. I've maxed out the Norwood scale. So this is what I'm going to say when I go in tomorrow. If they can't get it back to full hair thickness with my donor area, and it won't look like a comb over where I'm combing it over or going bald or balding as opposed to bald once again, I'll just be shaving it off again. It won't be worth the time or money. I will pass. I'm going to find out tomorrow. Basically, I need enough thickness that it doesn't look like a comb over, like it's thick again, and basically it can be grown long enough to cover up the FUT scarring.
How it would look years later. I mean, that's always something that I'm thinking about, and I'm going to make a video specifically on this, but there are a lot of guys who reach out to me, young guys, and they want their hairline lowered.
Years later, things will change. Things change, your body changes over time, everything changes. A lot of people will have to go in and redo what they've done in the past. That's just part of the procedure and part of the way it works.
Huge no-no in my opinion, and I'll go into detail more in a separate video. But yeah, I mean, realistic expectations is like the most important thing, and it seems like he wasn't really told what he could expect, what he should expect back when he got his surgery.
100%.
Because that fucking, what's his name? Joel McHale from the Sioux. Because I remember him from those Burger King commercials where he had less hair than I do. And then now he's got Dragon Ball Z hair.
Well, it's like real thick. It's almost like more thick than they start with sometimes.
Did he have a killer transplant, or is that just
He's got a great head of hair, man.
He didn't. You remember the Burger King commercial?
I am envious of blokes who managed to get successful hair transplants, because I was one of the ones that was unsuccessful. Well, it was successful in what it was meant to do, but what it was meant to do was really, as I said, not full coverage, partial coverage, not thick enough. So having to shave your head again after you transplant, means it's not successful.
In commercial, right?
No. I do not.
Nobody does. It was when The Office was getting popular, not the American one.
Yeah, so that's what's so interesting about plastic surgery and hair transplants, is that some people get these incredible transformations, and then doctors' offices, surgeons like myself, will put those patients up, on our website.
Yeah.
Show off the best results. But then what happens is people come in.
Yeah, bingo. They show off the best results, and they want you to believe that you'll get that, but 9 times out of 10, or maybe 99 times out of 100 even, you won't get that. It's funny how they used Elon Musk as an example there. If you had Elon Musk's money, your transplants aren't going to fail.
Expecting that they're also going to have a result similar to that person, but everyone has a different experience, and certain surgeries are fairly predictable, and you kind of know what you're going to get, but a lot of times there's still this element of unpredictability with most of what plastic surgeons do, and so you don't necessarily know exactly how it's going to work out for you. That is why people have different experiences when it comes to hair transplants. You look at someone like Elon Musk, I mean, he looks like he has a great head of hair now, and clearly he's had several hair transplants, so I think part of it is...
I mean, Elon's got the money that he can keep buying and buying and buying till he gets the right look. Most men don't have that option. It is a risk. It is a big step into the unknown, and it's up to you whether you decide to do it. I would go to a trusted clinic, trusted doctor. Funny enough, the one that I saw when I was 19 was one of the ones that was in the top 3 in the whole city where I was, and even then I couldn't get decent results from it. So you've got to be very careful with who you choose, and very knowledgeable about what you're going in for, the results you expect, and if or not those results can be delivered.
Is setting, again, those expectations where you tell someone that, hey, based on your degree of recession and hair loss, if you go down the hair transplant route, you might need several procedures over time, over many years to get...
Aha! See, that's where they catch you, because that's how they make their money. They know that you're going to need several procedures, because, let's be honest, when you go in, things are going to change afterward. After you've had it, your body changes, you grow older, your internal situation, your organs and your body changes, your hormones change, etc., etc. And yes, you may need to get it redone after a few years. With me, as I said before, as I said in my last video, if you set out on a project of something and you don't see it to completion, it's better off not having to start that at all, because the results will be a half job, and a half job, you're better off not having started it at all. Think of it this way. If a country declares war, like, okay, a country goes to war with another country, half job, right? We've half knocked out that country. Do you think that country's going to sit back and think, oh yeah, they tried to knock us out, but they left it halfway, we're just going to accept that? No, they're going to come back and try to wipe you out, because you basically left an ember, you've left a half done job where they can regroup and come back and hit you. So the answer is no, don't do half jobs. If you do something, you see it through the full way. And this is where I think I fell down, because they wouldn't do more than what they gave me at 19. But I wasn't going to wear a hairpiece because, as Mum said, she didn't want me wearing a hairpiece. She was a hairdresser. I should have probably gone in a few years later and got the rest done, and just been patient with my hat wear, and just been patient with what people said, and just stuck to it, and probably got a full hair coverage, a few years down from where I left it off, and completed the job. Now I totally regret that, because I've lived 32 years of my life under a hat, most of them with a shaved head, and scars. So I should have done it earlier. I basically lost out on any kind of dating, relationships, marriage, whatever comes of that. Women were not interested. They don't want to be. They're not interested in a guy who's my height and my build, with a bald head, and that is one of my biggest regrets in life. The other one is basically not getting on steroids when I was younger, and building up my physique into that of a real muscular man, massive man. Basically, if you're short, that's what you need to do. Keep your hair and have a build of Schwarzenegger. Otherwise, your dating life is down in the gutter, and there's probably no recovery when you get too old.
Get to a place where you want to be, but there are also other variables that go into this, like, for example, how much donor supply you have. Some people have a fairly narrow area that you can pick from to move the grafts. Other people have a very wide and very dense donor supply. The other thing is that some people's...
Yes, that's very true. Now, luckily, with the FUE, you don't need such a big donor area, I don't believe, but with the FUT in the past, you definitely did. When I was young, of course, I had that area, so it wasn't an issue back then.
Hair is quite thin, and other people have very thick hair. The thicker hair per strand is going to amount to a better transplant result than someone with really fine hair.
This is where I was okay. The hair that I've got on my head, the ones that is kept, are thick. They are thick. Even the hair transplanted hair, like when you feel them, when I shave them down, you can feel them as they grow back. They're very thick. You can feel the thickness in them. They're very hard. They're basically, you wouldn't be able to pull it out. They're not miniaturized. They're not thin. I was lucky in that sense, but some men haven't been, and they were lied to.
And looking back at some of Joe's old photos, his hair was more thin. So all of those things play a role. And so if you go to someone with experience, they're going to explain all this to you, and they're going to give you a personalized opinion. And that's another reason why I don't love when people email me photos, just like 1 or 2 photos of their head, and they're like, how many grafts? How much is it going to cost? It's not so simple. We have to talk about your goals. We have to...
Yeah, you need a proper consultation. You can't do that online.
Assess your hair a little bit better, and we have to discuss what's possible, what's not possible. It's never as easy as just looking at a photo and giving an opinion.
The American one, and Burger King had these commercials that were kind of like The Office, and he was like the wiseacre.
I can't picture one Burger King commercial. If people have thicker hair, it works better.
There he goes. That's what we were talking about. Thicker hair, it works better. He's absolutely right in that.
Every bald guy's fucking hair. Every
thing is, like,
somebody has more hair, I remember.
People with thick hair follicles can get away with it. Like,
yes.
My hair would have looked way better, but I have thin hair. The hairs themselves.
That should have been told to you, Joe.
He understands that now, but it would have been good if someone explained that to him.
Bingo. They should have explained it to him.
Back when he was signing up for surgery.
You can have some pretty dramatic result if it's the right kind of thinning.
What age did you do it?
30? No, not even.
Oh,
not
really?
Even 30, yeah.
See, that's when I should have got mine completed, I believe. I don't know when FUE came out, but it certainly came out, because I had mine done in 1993, like Rogans. FUE might have come out a few years later. Was it available when I was 30, 11 years down the track? It probably was. But by then I was too blind into just shaving it, bro. And really, when you're showing those scars, it's not a very good idea to shave it because they should be covered up. I mean, this is another thing. I was told by people, oh, yeah, women dig scars. Women love scars. Oh, BS. Come on. Who wants a scarred person? Let's be honest. Women don't want to see scars on a man. Do I want to see scars on a woman? Absolutely not. I've seen women who had breast implants done and scarred there. Would I want to see those scars? Absolutely not. I think it's a huge turn-off. And I think women probably think the same about it on a man. It's not a sign that you're a tough guy. It just looks awful. It detracts from your look.
You were under 30 when you did.
Yeah, I think I was 28. I just started acting on TV.
And there are definitely men in there.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing. I mean, if you're a big guy, if you're a massive guy and you've got scars, it probably fits who you are and your personality. You know, you got a massive guy with tats, scarred. Yeah, he's a bad boy. Yeah, he's probably been in prison a few times. Yeah, that fits. If you're a 5'6" little guy like me, bald with scars, it doesn't fit who you are as a person. It's just wrong.
Their late 20s and early 30s who are good candidates for hair transplants, but again, it requires kind of a comprehensive approach.
Yeah, well, as I said, Joe was lucky he went bald in his mid-late 20s. I went bald in my mid-late teens. Big difference. If you're bald in your mid-late 20s and you met a woman and she's, fallen in love with you and she accepts that, you're fine. If you're in your mid-late teens and that's happened, you're not fine because women are running from you like you're the plague.
A complete discussion about pros and cons of the procedure.
Just started acting on TV and I was panicking because my hair was seriously falling out. And I was like, this is going quick.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, where's it going to go?
Oh, yeah, it does go quick. Oh, yeah. It takes about 2 or 3 years and the whole thing goes. You're a lucky man because you were acting on TV. You already had status, mate, so it shouldn't have affected you as much. Your status would have held you okay. If you're a man without status and you're going bald and you don't have a woman, heaven help you, mate, you are in for one rough ride attracting.
I go. And
you just get thicker pubes.
well, I knew that part of the reason why I was making money was the way I looked. I was doing.
Great admission, Joe. You are spot on, mate. You got your breaks because of your looks, not after you went bald, but initially when you had hair. That is true. I commend you for saying that.
Stand up and I was acting in these shows.
And that's something else that isn't talked about enough. It's not just plastic surgery making you feel better about yourself. It's also how you're perceived by other people. So that's really important.
Aha, here we go. This is the meat of the matter. It's how you're perceived by other people. Yeah, you've got to be confident in yourself. And if you don't look good, you can't be confident with yourself. But it's also comes back to how other people perceive you that bases how confident you can be.
Especially if you're on TV, especially if you're in the public eye like he is, it's super important. Most people in most different, jobs are sort of judged in part based on how they look. And so
bingo, you're in the public eye, you're in a job, people see you every day. You can't hide it, mate. There is no way. I can't turn up to a business in a company and wear a baseball cap to hide my baldness or my scars every day. You are there in the public eye. You can cover that up and look like a terrible comb over or a terrible horseshoe, or you can be bald with scars. Take your pick. There's no covering the damage. There's no covering that. And good luck when you're in the workforce and you're a little guy who's bald. Good luck getting ahead. These were the troubles I experienced. That's why I basically work for myself now, and I've given up on workforce. Unfortunately, though, I'm still in the public eye, but I can wear a hat because I employed myself, so I can wear a hat wherever I go.
So when you talk about sort of aging issues, which is somewhat related to hair transplants, of course, but also other types of facial changes that occur, especially...
That's another thing. Going bald prematurely like I did, maybe not so much in Joe's case, but like I did at my age, it ages you prematurely. I had people tell me, why do you look 40 when you're in your 20s? Why do you look you look about 40. Your skin looks about 25. Your face looks about 40. It's because of balding, and it makes you look older, prematurely older, which is, once again, not attractive to younger women. You might end up getting you probably won't nowadays, but getting a woman who's older. Even these days, the older women in my age group, my cohort, want younger, virile, attractive chads.
Women are judged based on, those types of changes. So a lot of them feel that as the face starts to sag, that it might affect their work, especially if they're executive somewhere and, they've reached a certain height of their career, and they don't want to be sidetracked by people just not treating them properly because...
I can't speak about women personally in the workforce, but I will say this, that a certain movement gives them a big leg up in society, which men don't have the luxury of. So, yeah. Women don't really have to. I don't believe women really have to worry about these things as much as men, because men don't have that leg up that society gives the women.
They're starting to look old or something like that. So that's another impetus for people to get plastic surgery, and it's very real. And there are studies, we'll put them up next to me here, that show this, that show that people's perception changes after someone gets plastic surgery. And there's data to support it for hair transplant. There's data.
You betcha. You betcha. People who've known you in the past and have, always seen you in that light, will basically always want to see you in that light. Don't challenge their views on you or your personality or your looks or any kind of pigeonhole that they put you in. Don't challenge that. They will get angry. They won't be able to handle it, but it's their problem. They need to handle it. You need to better yourself. But with new people you meet, meeting new people will become easier because they won't know the previous you. They won't have the history of you. They'll just see you as you are for the first time.
To support it for other types of facial plastics procedures such as rhinoplasty and facelift. So it's super real, and it's not just, people doing it for vanity and because, they should just, go see a shrink, but instead they're doing surgery, which is another common misconception that people always, come out with me with.
People don't need to see shrinks. People need to self-improve themselves. A lot of people's issues come back to their own perception about the way they look, which is basically the way people treat them. They don't need to see shrinks. You just need to look. You need to improve the way you look, and that should do the shrink work for you, because you should be getting treated better after that.
With shouldn't your patients just go see some mental health specialist?
No,
that's BS. They're normal people.
Correct.
All of them don't have any type of psychiatric anything.
Absolutely
and they just
correct.
Want specific things changed or modified or reversed back to the way they were. So it's a lot about other people's perception that leads folks down the road of getting some kind of a plastic surgery procedure.
But I wasn't an ugly dude, and it helped. I was getting certain kind of roles, like boyfriend roles.
It's like something that
There you go. He's admitted it there. He wasn't such an ugly dude, and he was getting boyfriend roles and roles where he was cast as a ladies' man or, whatever, he could attract a woman. That was before he went bald. I guess it does help if you've got the right face, the right skull, the right features. And the same thing when you go bald. Only a few men can pull this off. You have to have the right body, face, scalp, features, jawline, nose, chin, etc. Eyes. You basically need, you need to basically have been a good-looking guy before you went bald to basically pull that bald look off. If you weren't a good-looking guy and you try hair, it probably would up you by a couple of points still. But in the bigger scheme of things, you're probably better looking to begin with, even before you go bald, even after you go bald. If you go bald and you were good looking before, you probably will, you won't affect you as much.
chick has to go through.
Yeah, you panic because you're like, well, this is how I'm making money, and I never made any money before. So all of a sudden, I went from being completely broke and being a super struggling comic. Like if I got lucky, I was making $300 a week. $350 a week was a big week.
Why is that bad? Is that bad for a week?
It's perfect if you're a 25-year-old guy, which is what I was, trying to make it as a comic.
Right.
Then I went from that to making piles of TV money.
You're like, how do I not go back?
I am not getting rid of this. I gotta figure out a way to keep this rolling. But if I should have just shaved my head, I just didn't know.
Well, it's not.
Just shave it, bro. Just get rid of it. It looks horrid. How many times, if I had a scent for the way people, how many people told me that when I was younger and in that exact tone, I'd be a millionaire. I wouldn't have to work anymore.
Not just about not knowing, it's about people's perception of you with a shaved head. Also, I think when he...
Bingo, it is about people's perception of you. Perception of you. And that's all that really matters, people's perception of you versus you with hair versus you with a shaved head.
It was on television primarily in the 90s or so. People didn't really walk around bald as often as they do now.
This is a subject that's close to my heart. We're about to talk about going bald.
Gelma yogurt is uniquely...
Okay, I'll just pause it on that ad. Yeah, it is socially more acceptable to have a full bald head in this day and age. However, as I said before, you need the right face and shape and body and head to pull it off. If you don't have the right details, you won't be able to pull it off. You're probably no different to when you were balding or didn't shave it to begin with. We'll wait for this commercial.
Try our sweet and creamy Greek-style yogurt now.
Yum.
Stress can affect the mind and the body too.
Oh, there's some good
Calm your
sort.
mind and trust your gut with
Let's skip
Bio
it.
Platinum.
So it wasn't as accepted. Society was just different. The way we view bald men, especially in the United States, has, I think, changed over time. It's become a little bit more accepted now. So it's not just about...
Yeah, it is accepted, but once again, it comes back to how you look bald. Some men just can't pull it off. Most men, in fact, can't pull it off.
Joe not knowing that he would have been happy with himself. Also, it's about how other people would have seen him, and I don't think they would have been as receptive as they are now.
You betcha they wouldn't have been. And that's because he's got the status already. If he didn't have that status, they wouldn't have been as receptive. I can bet my two nuts on that.
His bald look.
Freedom. Even if I grew like a thick head of hair, I guarantee you I'd still shave my head. I don't want to go to a barber.
BS. You wouldn't. You'd go to the barber. You wouldn't shave it, mate. You know the difference. I know why you got hair transplants to begin with. 100%, mate. You are talking BS. Don't pull that lie on me.
I had a really nice lady who used to cut my hair too. I loved her. She was fun conversations, but I'd have to go to her place and she'd have to come. No, dude, I wake up every 4 days. I go,
yeah, I do the same thing. Doesn't help me.
Remind me of
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a lot less maintenance, and
That's
I've
true.
discovered that myself, because as you guys know, I've got alopecia areata.
Maintenance is one thing, but looking good and going to a hairdresser with having hair is probably a better option.
So I've got a pretty shaved head too. So a lot of you guys on my YouTube, you'll be like,
oh, like, who are you to talk? Like, look at your head. You should treat yourself first.
But as you know, I've got this autoimmune condition, so it's a little bit different. I don't have the...
You're a brave man, Dr. Linkov. You are a brave man. I can see why you got into plastic surgery.
option of getting a transplant, which I think I would consider getting a transplant.
Yeah, of course you
I'm a
would.
candidate for it, but I'm not, so whatever. It's definitely, I think, like more freeing. I personally don't like the way I look with my head shaved, so I would prefer to have my hair back, and it's...
Tell you what, you're not wrong, mate. I think with those glasses, I have similar glasses. With your hair and your head, yeah, I wouldn't be happy with that either, mate. I wouldn't be too happy with the way I looked.
It's kind of growing in, as you guys can see, but, you know, it's, like, very patchy and whatever because of this alopecia areata. But I'm glad that Joe feels that, you know, he's looking good. He's happy with his look, and it's definitely a lot lower maintenance, and that's a huge plus.
It looks good for two reasons. One, he's got the the skull type and the body and the head to do it and pull it off. And number two, well, he's got scars like me, but it still looks a lot better. Number two, he's got status. He's well known. He's already got status before he went bald. So that's why he's happy and he can live with it. Some men can't.
Talking about that chilling procedure, but I was on some JB Smoove used to have this like dinner show where it'd be like a couple athletes and like a couple comics.
Oh yeah.
And I don't because I don't really follow sports, but these guys were interesting. There's a hockey player and some football players. How much of a nerd I am. They're talking about all these treatments they would get, you know, and most of them start out as beauty treatments for rich Hollywood women.
Really?
And then they trickle down to athletes.
Wow. No kidding.
Is that something like
cryo? That's where the cryo started from?
I swear to God, they were talking about cryo that way, like it was for hot chicks, because they're kind of like a hot chick's a kind of athlete, right?
Yeah,
like
right.
you start out, and then you go like, oh,
She gets red shit.
Yeah, then you throw your arm out. Like Kathleen Turner, like blew her face out from that drug.
What drug was she on?
Steroids for arthritis.
No way.
She didn't want people to know about some illness because she thought she'd get less work. So she just was like, took all the jokes about how she looked like a man. She just took all the jokes to work and then finally came out. Which I kind of like, hey, good for you, man, if you got work at it. Because, you know, people are terrified of
especially
people find
her.
out if they're sick. Yeah.
I mean, going from being an insanely hot woman to
know.
being gross, that is a change of everything. That's a change of how
Builds
you
character.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it would do. I'm not a woman myself, but I don't disagree with that comment at all. That would change you. It's like a man who's, been a handsome man for a few years and then he goes grey and loses his hair. It's the same deal. It's the same. It's like a man who was working out for 3 years, had the body of a god, and then stopped and put on fat and weight. You would basically get different treatment straight away. He's not wrong there.
Again, that's exactly why people look to plastic surgery, to give them like another chance at life. It definitely hurts your ego, if you get
Another chance at life. That's a good way of putting it, actually. When you are in your late teens and you are balding fast as a man, you didn't even get your first chance at life. You better get something done about it, otherwise your life is gone. You won't have a life. There is no second chance. Well, there is if you had the life before and then you've basically redone things. But if you never begun, there is no second chance. You better give yourself a chance, your first chance, one and only.
get old and you're starting to show those signs, and so plastic surgery can help reverse that in many situations. It's just a better feeling overall, and also other people kind of treat you differently, which is nice.
It's a character builder.
It's like a rich guy losing all his money. You find out who really liked you the whole time,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It changes how you interface with the world.
There's another thing. A rich guy losing all his money. Watch the legs close and the legs move away from you when that happens.
World. Like a beautiful woman interfaces with the world like the most popular celebrity possible. Like a beautiful woman is like Tom Cruise everywhere she goes.
Now we're going to look at the second video for
All right, I think I'll stop it there. I've looked at the second video. Probably it's good, but it's probably not worth reviewing as this one was. Just leave a like and comment and subscribe, and thank you for watching.